All right, we are in this bitch, ladies and gentlemen.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
And some gentle music starts playing in
I
the
like
background.
it. I like
nice.
it. This
Very
is a good
nice.
addition.
Yeah.
This is a good decision.
Soothing.
Yeah.
Really sets the mood.
It
For real.
does.
Feeling very zen. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Very
No,
nice.
but it ties in perfect with our what we were talking about before.
Yeah, how did that
Yeah.
come up with you guys? You guys were trying to kind of talking
Just,
about that before.
a lot of stuff that's just, going on in my own life, and, stuff makes you think, and
Yeah.
just kind of start thinking about friendship, and
Just
Yeah.
yeah, shit going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like whether it be present shit that's happening with friends or just like we've had some friend past
Yeah.
conflicts, issues, all sorts of shit. We just got to talk about it the other day. This song, just for in case we're like drowning it out for the audience here.
Yeah.
By the Beatles, it's called "With a Little Help from My Friends."
trying to get some flavor in there.
I like it. Yeah, that's good.
Did
Did you guys ever fist fight?
Yes.
Like,
Totally.
actually fist fight?
Was it like a
We've done,
wrestling-
the UFC fights at the Red Hill Park.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Right
Yeah,
at
we
the
used
trailer
to-
park. I like it.
Yeah, we
Fights
used
right
to
out
do
there in
so
fucking-
much,
yeah,
like
right
just
out in
Your
public.
fucking tap out shirts.
Boxing, UFC,
Yep.
right out in public. Put on a show for everybody.
But yeah,
I
that's
like it.
like I was saying. That song was actually. I don't know if it was. It wasn't produced. I doubt. They probably just released it on the 10th International Day, Friendship Day, which I thought was like, obviously they made the song and like decided to release it that day, and like that day is a whole like conflict in itself. I couldn't tell you a thing about it, but yeah, that's the thing. That's the reason.
I was
for
saying
it.
before that sounds like a Facebook thing that they just made
It
up.
totally
It's just
does.
like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's National
Friendship
Everything Day.
Yeah, every
Yep.
day is a holiday.
Yeah.
So
And like I was saying,
I
it's
shouldn't have
like-
to go to work ever.
Yeah.
It's like one of the like I couldn't even find like a legitimate like date of like what the day was. It's like different depending on what country you live in. It seems
Yeah.
so. It was
What
definitely
your
just
religion is. And
Oh my god. Exactly.
No,
so
but-
so when you guys started talking about this, was it kind of just growing up and realizing that friends, especially male friends, start to separate and go
Fade
their yeah, they
out and-
fade out
yeah.
and they start to get in with their girls
Definitely,
and their
yeah.
cliques and their jobs
yeah.
and,
it fades out, and like even like just the friendship itself, changes over the course of years.
yeah, even if you stay
It's like,
friends
with
over
any
time.
like relationship, it doesn't always stay in like the first phases, but
Yep.
after being friends for so long, things change. People grow up, they grow apart, different interests. I mean,
So I
there's
guess
so
the
much to it.
biggest question here is like what do you guys consider a friend? Like, 'cause it's a very general term. You know what I'm saying? Like you have like a girlfriend, but like what I'm saying, like just what is like like if you had to actually describe a friend,
Straight up.
define a friend.
Somebody that I actually want to be in the presence of, like actually spend time with on purpose, my free time.
Yep.
And I also don't want to have sex with them. So,
Okay,
I mean, that's
Okay,
important
yeah.
because
No,
if
that's
it, you know what I
very-
mean?
Yep.
So,
That's very legit. Yeah.
yeah.
Too.
I mean, I guess that's still I mean, you can make the argument that you can have sex with friends, but
Yeah, friends with benefits.
yeah, but that's really how are you still friends with the person that you were friends with benefits with?
Right,
Like, does
it's
that ever work? No, I mean,
No.
like a real healthy
Yeah.
friendship for me personally is just like actually wanting to
Yeah.
be in that
And-
person's
and
presence,
again-
and they want to be in my presence. It has to go both ways.
Again, and like I feel like when you add sexual interactions into that
Yeah.
friendship aspect, that's like you're trying to take it further than just friends. So like, you know what I'm saying? You were friends, you're trying to go farther, you know what I'm saying? So
Totally.
so
That's
you're-
why I
you're
always say no,
totally
Tom.
right, yeah. No,
He's
but
smooth.
oh shit.
Yeah. How about you, Dave?
What?
What's your definition of friendship?
My definition of a friend would probably be somebody that I trust, not just like with, normal things like, I'm gonna trust you not to take my money or
Yeah.
trust you with, certain things like that, but trust with that they're gonna be there for you and that you can rely on them and talk to them, confide in them. Somebody they have to be, somebody close, but I mean that could be people that aren't close too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can confide in people that aren't close friends, but still,
Yeah, but not
anything like that.
but
really.
mutually. See, like, all right, so my
To trust mutually.
yeah,
Yeah.
so my thing is like companionship, reliability, and support.
See, that's interesting. I have friends that I do not trust as far as I can throw.
Oh yeah,
But I
everybody
I
does.
actually like them.
See, but that's what I mean. If
Yeah.
you were to, if I really want to give you a definition of a friend,
Okay, I see.
that
where you're
it
coming
has to be. That's what it's all of the above.
Mhm.
It's,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah,
what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
And I don't know what you would consider those that are like half.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Like,
Like-
there's dudes that are, like if they want to go off and do their own thing and they die in a ditch, that's on them. You know what I mean?
Right.
If like maybe a best friend, I'd be
Yep.
like, no, dude, get up, we got to go home. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Yeah,
But
see, everybody has a different like scale of friendship.
Mhm.
yeah,
and
totally.
that's like
yeah, everyone's
definitely.
definition's
And
different.
it's really, it's not even something you can explain or like really get into, but it's just depending on the person, I guess. But yeah, it's true. It's like you could have a friend that's like a 4.
yeah, like a 4 on the scale
for
of friendship.
friendship.
Yeah. The friendship continuum, as they say.
Yeah.
So whatever you see there,
Yeah. And you guys ever have like a friend when you were a kid, especially young, like pretty immature, where maybe it's an older friend or something like that you like looked up to, but do you know what I mean? Like somebody that was just like on another level, and you're like,
Yes.
oh, they're so fucking cool, and you hang out with them all the
Yes,
time.
I did.
But they're just
actually.
yeah. I
I
think
don't
every
know.
young kid has that.
I don't know if I ever really hung out with other kids because I thought they were cool. I hung out with the people that had like same mutual interests at the time because I was
Right.
so young. I mean, that's all we really had. There was no
Sure.
deeper connection to friendship when you're like 6 years old. It's more so just
Maybe not
you know
6,
you
but
go
middle
to,
school
oh,
is
yeah,
like when
middle school.
when the hierarchy of beings becomes a thing. You know what I mean? You
Oh,
realize,
okay.
oh, there's
Yeah.
good people, and then there's kind of like garbage people.
yeah,
You know?
pretend to be good. And
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I mean, there was people I hung out with that weren't like, good people, but
Yeah,
I never
Definitely,
really
yeah.
looked up to any people like that.
There's a kitty in the room.
that's okay.
She's usually pretty good. I'm hoping she won't like screw everything
Oh, that
up.
was very polite. She totally
Yeah.
overstepped my.
I don't
entire
let her
laptop.
step on my computer. That's
like
the
that.
thing. Yeah.
You're a good cat dad.
Yeah, so she always like on my mom's computer actually. Like whenever my mom's like, she's doing work or something, my cat will just like step all across it. Well, like I bought my laptop. I don't know, it was a while ago, but it was like $1,200.
Yeah.
As soon as I got it, I took it home. I put it on the table, and she like went to go step on it. I was like,
No. Exactly.
Yeah, you are not stepping on this computer. And ever since then, she just kind of like avoids them.
I like that. Just be afraid of computers
Yep.
and vacuum cleaners.
Vacuum. That too, yeah. No, that's like what we were talking about. Off the cat subject.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
Let's get back to the point.
it's like growing up. There's like you really see the difference. All right, so like between your school friends to when your friends have like start families.
Mm.
That's like that gap right there
It's a weird transition.
is the biggest
weird.
transition. Yeah.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally. Or just, I mean, I guess it's the biggest transition that we've gone through.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, us in our young 20s, I assume we're all in our 20s, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yep.
so, this is the biggest transition, but maybe the next one is having a job, moving away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And having
Or
kids
having- yeah.
instead of a baby or a toddler, because
Yeah.
how many of your friends have teenagers?
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
a big
They're all
transition
just-
too.
I know,
Yeah.
my one friend, same age as me, has a girl. She's in second grade. It's crazy.
Damn.
I was like,
How old are you, man?
I'm 25.
Okay, I'm 24.
And
That's
it
pretty
was-
nuts.
It was weird. Like, you had her right out of high school, like 12th grade.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
You can do
It's
it.
so
pretty
weird
young.
now. It's so weird now to see she's in like second grade. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she talks
Like,
people words.
Yeah.
Talks
Damn.
people words. It's like, damn.
Probably like
man.
she can like work a computer better than I can. I'm like,
Jeez.
like you're weird, but
It is crazy to see all your friends having kids for sure. I think you're right though.
Yeah.
That is the biggest transition.
But
3 of them now at least.
oh boy.
She has
Three of my
3?
No, 3 of my friends have kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yep.
so many people like.
Everybody I know as a
Everyone's
kid.
got kids
I know.
now.
Everybody I know
like,
from high school as a kid, for real.
I like finally
Unless-
just got my adult job.
Either they have a kid or they're gonna be a doctor. There's like no in between. like, there's no in between. Or they moved out to California and they're just like out there.
Yeah,
doing
you
it,
don't.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you don't know. They're just their own thing.
There's
yeah.
a couple townies. There's a couple people that like still
Definitely,
bop
yeah.
around town and stuff like that. I guess I'm one of them. Fuck.
But there's a ton of people that have just, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. I don't want to talk shit on anybody, but there's just so many people that have kids, start families, I guess, in general sense, way too early.
Duh. I mean, that's like, come on. I don't want to offend it, but no, that's duh.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's not, that I know. That's why
Right.
I say.
Oh,
I don't
I
wanna
see.
offend
I
Because
think
you
you
don't wanna
could
go
actually
listen to
get
them.
pregnant.
We're talking about you, whoever you are, viewer.
Yeah, obviously in the world, there's definitely a problem with that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about people that I personally know. It's like, there's a ton of them that I personally
but-
know.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, it always seems to work out, though. So,
Yeah, I'm
like,
not saying they aren't
just-
handling
yeah.
it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
you say that.
Well,
I'm a little pessimistic
Well,
about
yeah.
it. Kids are crazy. Kids are
Right,
that is such like I don't even want to talk because I you know what I mean? Because I'm so afraid to give that thing a terrible life. Imagine having a human being that can grow up to hate you. You know what I mean?
Dogs are easy. You just feed them and pet them. They're good.
Yeah, see, I don't think so. I feel like I would be a crazy dog owner. I'd be like, oh, we got to go to the park. Like I've been doing all this stuff all week,
Yeah, you have those
Feel-
people that like just have a dog and they're just like, oh yeah, he like eats. Like,
Yeah, he like eats. We
He walks around.
yeah,
But then
he
you
lives
have
in my
the-
house. We don't speak the same language. It's awkward.
but then you like my uncle, all right, for instance, like to pick him out of a crowd here.
Yeah.
He like takes his dog to like school essentially to like train him. He like it's the most obedient dog. It's like it's a poodle.
Yeah,
And
that's what
it's like-
dogs want, man.
And that's what I'm saying. So like you could go like one extreme, or you got the people that just like,
Have a dog.
I feed him. What are you talking about?
I feed him. He's alive.
He goes outside.
I took him to the vet like 7 years ago. Fuck you.
That's what I'm saying.
I
my
definitely, I can see how dogs would be easier than a child for sure, though. But
Oh yeah.
no.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you got
But-
like some people just like they have one kid and then they think they can handle it because they handled them to like 2 years old or something,
And it's
And
like,
then-
oh,
and
I
then-
got
And
this.
then they have another one, and then it's like, oh boy.
Yeah,
Now
one,
we're getting
one
a
of
little
them's going to be
crazy.
a stripper.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, the first one's fine. He's going to college.
Yeah, the
Second
more
one-
kids you have, the more your chances one of them's gonna
But
not
at
be
the
so
s-
great.
Yeah.
It's true.
But at the
It's
same
true.
time, in their defense here, it's you don't want to have like a kid that's like grows to be 10 years old and then have like another like sibling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's that much younger. You may as well
Yeah,
just
it's weird.
if you're gonna have more than one, you may as well just do
Just
it.
do 'em,
so
bang
they're
them out
siblings.
right
Just-
then and there.
Yeah, that'd be
It's
really
like,
weird.
oh, I had a kid by. Well, but then there's the problem, right? So how many single moms do you know? All of them. That's the answer.
lot,
All you know
yeah.
a lot. Okay, everybody
Yeah.
knows a lot of single moms.
Almost all of them.
So you
Yep.
can't. Yeah, right. Almost all of them. So you can't have a kid.
Or they were at some point at least.
Right.
Definitely,
Well,
yeah.
sure. Maybe they have somebody new, and that's
Yeah.
fine. That's great. I
Yep.
think that's awesome. And maybe but maybe like they've been a single mom. They know how that feels. They know how not to have the support, and then have another kid with somebody else. Like
Yeah.
it's not because they're getting married at 17 or 18. It's not.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean. It's
They're
not.
just
There's
having
no
a kid.
commitment. They're just having a kid. Fucking easy to do. I promise.
I'm sure it is.
Like it. I think it would be better if they did bang them all out by the same guy, and obviously like they were able to keep the relationship or whatever, but it's not the case anymore for some reason.
No.
Yeah, things have changed a bit. So we kind of talked about like obviously like a significant other, like somebody you're more sexually active with. They're a little bit farther than a friend. But what do you think? Like, now this is like kind of another far out question.
I like it.
But how is
like where
like
it's going.
family? Like
I've never had sex with my family.
no,
No.
God damn.
What's the question?
No, the question is like as far as friendship goes, how far off is a family member from a friend?
Well, you gotta. Family is usually the first friends you have.
So you would say
So,
like
totally.
top, so like top of the scale.
Family is
I mean-
family is closer to who you are than an other. You know what I mean? Because you
Yep,
grow up
okay.
around your family,
Definitely.
they kind of shape. I mean, not only genetically, but like nurture wise, they kind
Yep.
of shape who you are. So it's like it's a almost like an obligation.
Your friends by
friendship.
default.
Yeah, your friends by default.
Really, that's
You know?
perfect way to put
Totally,
it. Yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's an obligation to be in a relationship, and that relationship isn't always,
Yeah.
fantastic, but
Yep.
there's a drive to be a part of a tribe, and that is in this day and age, our nuclear families are our little ass
Absolutely.
tribes, and
Yep.
we're not friends, but we learn friendship from them. So I would say that friends are other being brought in, and family is just
Yep.
a part of
Okay,
us.
that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect way to put it. Yeah. Because they are, by definition, they are technically, it's a friendship. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
It's between
It's a relationship.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Mhm.
But exactly, yeah. It's more. You have a relationship with your boss.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a
Yeah.
friendship. You
Just
got
gonna make a terrible joke. I don't know who's watching this right now.
Shit, I'm gonna get fired.
Exactly. Sorry, Chuck. It's a fake name for the record. I just want everybody to know that.
So getting back to like growing up, right? So you growing up with your friends. One of the biggest things I thought about was like how. All right, so negative versus positive interactions. Which has affected you more with
Negative.
friends?
Negative 100%.
I would say the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it depends on your view of what negative and positive are.
Okay.
Well, okay, so we don't.
Alright.
If we're gonna get all philosophical,
But-
about it, but in the moment, you gave it a hot or cold. You chose whether it was negative or positive. Maybe it's positive now.
Yeah.
Even though it's
But
negative.
I mean, I look back, most of the experiences I had that affected me were positive. But
Okay.
and there wasn't ever like too many like negative effects or negative experiences with friends. I mean,
So-
there's
You
like a
punched him in the
select
face.
few. I never punched Tom in the face.
Oh,
No,
I thought you guys
actually,
fought.
No.
I think we're two of the people that have never actually.
Yeah, we never
Oh,
fought.
this
I got you.
conflict.
No.
I got you. Okay, all right. I got my signals crossed here. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
We've each fought other people, but I lost my place.
No, I'm sorry.
That was totally just.
Nah,
fun,
that's
but-
all right.
Yeah, no. Positive. You
Yeah,
said
yeah.
most
You were
of your-
saying.
Yeah,
you were
yeah,
saying
so
so
I
you've
mean,
had
there's-
no negative experience with your friends. You don't remember.
No, I mean, there's like some negative experiences, but they never had a more profound like effect on me than the positive ones. I mean, the negative effect, like the negative times, came and went. We got over it. Never.
Yeah.
You think it was?
So what about?
Yeah, I mean,
That
sure,
was
it helped.
between you guys?
It helped cement it a little more. Once you get over those hard times, you're closer after that. But
Yeah.
I feel like our positive experiences had way more effect on me than
what if
negative.
Because I feel like you're thinking more of like conflicts.
Uh-huh.
But what if you're thinking more like, all right, so maybe you disagree with a way that somebody went about or something that somebody did, a friend, or how a friend turned out, or something like,
Ooh,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mm.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Everybody has
Because
friends
that's
that.
still a negative interaction.
Yeah.
That's still a friend that did something that wasn't, positive for your friendship.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where they did a lot of stuff that was terrible for the friendship, and it had a big effect on me.
Big, yeah. Okay.
But always in the end, we ended up being friends again, and everything
I've never
turned
had
out
that.
fine. But
Never had that. Every friend that we've had a falling out, we just stay falling out.
So I've had.
I think
I've
that's
had,
an
like,
ego thing too.
both,
I think
I
Yeah,
guess.
we just
kinda.
have two. Sorry, go ahead.
I've had both. I guess
Mhm.
obviously negative and positive interactions, but like I think that and I'm thinking more. I guess even with family, even if you were to take it to that point, just an interaction meaning anything that happened, even if it wasn't like between us specifically, just like something that happened within their life, maybe.
mhm.
Or something like that. I feel like negative definitely outweighs. Not, I don't want to say outweighs. That kind of misconstrues the concept here, but it's had a bigger effect on me, just because of I don't know if I thought about it more the positive or more just like, pats on
Yeah.
the back kind of thing. I don't know. Like, I just feel like the negative has like made me think more about about
Yeah.
the friendship or about myself or about them or something like that.
Can you give an example without getting too?
Not
Not really.
not off the top.
I'll
of my
give you. I'll
head.
give you an example of one negative thing for me where I ruined a relationship. Right. So one of my friends when I was a kid had cancer. Right.
Okay.
And I did not have the brain power, the emotional intelligence to deal with that at the time.
Okay.
So, I mean, he like invited me to come to the hospital and, there was a bunch, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
but we ended up, like, I never saw him. I barely texted him and I fucking dropped the ball. You know what I mean? I was probably 17 at the time. I just didn't have it. I didn't know what the hell do I talk about. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to.
Yeah, you don't know how to deal with that.
I don't want to treat him like it. Exactly. And there was a big group message that was like, don't, bombard him with, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, you don't want to freak him out in the beginning. And I really internalized that. I was like, oh, he doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was using that as a scapegoat or whatever. But anyway, he got better. They had a very serious surgery. It was crazy. He got better. And we're totally not friends anymore. And I think, it was definitely my fault. And I'd like to say that he made some decisions too. You know what I mean? Like I really made an extra effort, and I went out of my way afterwards and apologized and really was heartfelt about it and everything like that. But
So,
that's something that it's a positive thing from the standpoint that I know. I have a little bit more depth to me now, I think.
Yes.
Obviously I haven't had cancer, but I'm able to see somebody who's going through something so fucking serious that I can't really fathom and know to just be there instead of being a bitch.
Not wanting to deal with it, trying to avoid it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people will do with anything, whether it could be something small. And a lot of, even to this, even you don't have to be young, saying it's not like a weak, it could be still like a weak-minded kind of concept, but it's not, you could be fucking 40 and still do the same thing.
Totally.
With, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And people do it, yeah. It's happened to me, with other, not as serious of things, but yeah, it's people, I don't know if they just don't want to deal with it, or they just don't think about it the right way. But yeah, that's
some people just don't know how.
That's it. And that's what I think it was for me. Man, like looking back, it was not malevolent at all. I mean, it was like there was a bunch of factors. I had my first girlfriend that lived, we lived together, and she was taking up all my fucking time because whatever, that's what happens when you're terrible at relationships and you decide to move in with your first girlfriend ever.
That's actually one of the points we had was how to manage time between friends and girlfriend,
big thing.
Family, and your own personal
yourself.
time.
Yeah,
you just gotta have time for yourself.
Yeah, that was a big point of the whole, especially the whole growing up with friends thing is, like you said, managing those things, because if you just spend all your time, at one point or another, I spent all my time with my friends. I would go to school with my friends.
Absolutely.
Every single day.
And it's not good.
Probably for
it's not,
several
it didn't
years.
turn out good for me.
Yeah, definitely not positive.
We had some crazy times.
Like you guys aren't learning how to code and like going on runs and stuff. It's like pot and it just gets out of hand if you're with dudes all the time.
Yeah.
But there's also something to be said about the absolute primal need for a brotherhood amongst men. You know what I mean?
That's basically what happened. That P-ville. Turned into a giant city.
We're two of people that every day, whether it be school or work, no matter what age, we had a big, a wide range of ages. So it was like whether you got there in school or whether you got there in work, we all just went to this one park
congregated back there.
Yep, and just we just hung out. We did anything from
built this giant teepee. It was crazy.
Yeah, you just built a giant
tons
teepee.
of tarps and sheets of plastic. We had benches.
Super weird.
Dudes need to do shit like that, man.
Whether it be hikes or drugs or whatever the hell it was.
Man stuff.
Yeah, man stuff. See, girls are so good at staying friends over time. They really, really are. And I'm not gonna say
my experience.
Right, I'm not gonna say all of them for sure. But chicks are just so much better at the communication. They want to talk on the phone with each other and stuff like that.
Even in school, you'd have that group of girls. it's like 3 girls in the back of the classroom. They're talking about their life together.
Yeah.
And we're just like bullshit, and we're making jokes.
Yeah.
We're making fun of people.
Poop and dicks
yeah.
and funny.
And it's like, and seriously though, they had it under control. We didn't.
Yeah. No, totally not.
It's like,
Totally not.
Like.
Because we're taught that way. I mean, to be honest, I would say that is definitely a hormone thing as well as,
I was going to say, if we weren't taught at least a little bit of it, then how the hell did we do it?
That's totally true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
it's totally true. It depends on the environment, I guess, when, your
Definitely.
upbringing and stuff like that. Like, your peers raise you after,
Yeah,
what,
you learn
first
most of
grade?
the stuff you learn like when you're young is from the people around you.
Definitely. Yeah, that's another thing.
Friends.
Just the effects that a friend can have is significant, both positive and negative. You can go both ways with it.
Can totally change your personality.
Oh,
If you start hanging out with a different crowd and everybody's, one way, your interest, your, desires, everything starts to kind of tilt toward that so that you have a little bit more, it's like social capital in that environment instead of, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, I think
yeah.
it's so interesting, and that's, I think that's why I'm kind of bad at friendship, because I'm afraid of people rubbing off on me in the wrong ways. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah, but I see. Okay,
I just suck at managing time.
I hear you on that, but I'll.
Well,
That's my
so that's obviously the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, time is huge, but like secondly,
But
filtering
really,
people in.
I don't think so. I would put time on the lower end of the spectrum, only because you could have a very good friend in the fact that a very caring friend, a very supportive, responsive friend
Yeah.
that lives halfway around the world now, that still talks to you every week.
You gonna
and-
talk on the phone? You guys,
Well,
you're just
no
gonna
matter
text?
how it was,
Pen pal?
it's
How
there.
how deep are you gonna get? How deep?
Well,
really? I mean,
but-
that's a
but-
time thing too.
But think about it. Well, it is.
Because you're sitting on instant messenger or
Well, okay, let's get real though. We had a podcast last time we saw each other. We had a podcast on the fucking internet. How many times a day are you on your phone?
yeah. No, I
It's
totally
not a
get.
time thing. You're on it anyway.
Yeah, right. But how often am I actively engaged in
Well,
a conversation or
Okay, but here's my argument. Okay, you could have a friend that you see every single day. You do everything together.
Yeah.
That's a good friend. But you could also have a friend that's even more caring, even more worried about your well-being than that person
Yeah.
that you don't ever see.
But what can you do for
maybe
me?
once.
Yeah. What don't do for me.
Well, that's exactly the thing, though. That's like,
No,
in all seriousness,
Yeah.
half. No, I shouldn't say. I shouldn't put a percentage to it, but part of being a friend is just somebody to talk to, somebody
Yeah.
to support.
Mhm.
Just hear you out, so you can vent to. No matter what, it's like
Yeah, just
even
being there.
family
Yeah.
members. Not all your family of everybody lives. Next door. You
can't always talk to your family about the same stuff you can talk to your friends
No,
about. With,
yeah.
the amount, with the amount of clarity that you can
But
talk
that's
to
what
them.
I'm saying.
Biggest
So,
problems I ever had in my life. I talked to my friends before I ever talked to my parents
Totally.
about it.
totally. Yep.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, way before I would talk to them about it.
Yeah. Okay. So you would talk to
That's
your,
a whole-
I would talk to my friends and then my parents and then eventually
And
my
then
siblings
you
would find out.
Gotcha. See, that's different. I would be honestly throughout my upbringing, it would be straight to my brother, and that
Yeah.
never served. Like, oftentimes that would backfire, but for some reason I
No,
always did it.
just rat you out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. Well, maybe not rat me out, but just
No.
like give me horrible advice or something
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Yep.
like it was always my brother. No matter how many times he gave me terrible advice, no matter how many times he made it worse, I would always just go to him. And I don't know.
Yeah, he's the first person that you're gonna see basically.
That's it. He's my peer. He's the only
Yeah.
peer I have. At that time.
So I guess in my argument here, okay,
And I agree with what you're saying.
You
Oh,
could-
we're gonna argue
you could
now.
ha- you
Let's go.
you could have a friend that lives in Canada. All right, we're in Pennsylvania. You could have a friend that lives in Canada. Okay, that would in a heartbeat take a plane if you went to the hospital. Let's say, just
Yeah.
as an example, to come support you. And you could have a friend that lives next to you that wouldn't even talk to you.
True. That's very true. I'm not sure what your point.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like I agree with what you're saying.
Distance isn't much of a factor in your,
okay.
like.
But I wasn't
relation-
arguing
your
against
friendship,
the
you know,
distance
like,
thing.
yeah.
I think it was mostly the screening of like say somebody has a really bad habit, or somebody tries to make jokes and they're just not funny ever. Like not even one time in their entire life. Everybody has the friend that just like tries to say something and it just fucking falls flat every single time. Wook. How do you, dude? We made up the name Wook. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
Like
totally
in metal tech, like I was the year that I don't know.
Let's not go into what that means.
That's another day,
Yeah,
ladies and
that's another
gentlemen.
thing. Anyway, so yes, somebody like that who is, dude, and he's a genuinely kind-hearted person.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
really
yeah.
is.
He really
You know what I
does
mean?
means
We
well,
should
but-
probably stop talking about individuals.
let's
sorry,
That's
guys.
that's what I was
We
saying.
didn't name drop.
Yeah, no
Nobody
name
does.
dropping. But it's somebody in that kind of, like, they do something that annoys the crap out of you. For me, if somebody has a tick like that, I'm almost like, you're so nice and stuff like that, but I'm probably not going to try to hang out with you ever.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because I don't want it to rub off on me. And I don't want that to be like, I don't want anybody to associate me with that. And that's kind of a terrible thing. Like, it's an elitist kind of better than type thing, but I don't think so. I think it's just, I'm trying to surround myself with cool people.
Well, you have an opinion, yeah.
Yeah.
You're okay. Yeah, I get what you're going, but I still stand against my argument there. Like
Well, my argument wasn't against what you just said.
no, not at all. No, it had in fact, it had nothing to do with
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying. Okay, so I understand.
So
Okay.
what's your actual?
Oh, my rebut to what you were
so
saying.
that's what I'm saying. What's
gotcha.
your actual?
I disagree.
I mean, I would say that I have to agree, of course, because come on, like, what the fuck? Okay, yes, you can have a better friend halfway across the world because of the internet, and because there's the walls are blown out, and we have all this communication stuff like that, and we I mean, what's the disagree? Of course.
What was
Of
the argument?
course.
I wasn't the one that said anything about it. You said you agree, but, and then you went on with that story. So I was trying to figure out what that had to do with it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because, all right, so here's what happened for our viewers because they're confused right now. I said something in a vacuum. Just like me saying something, I said it, and then what you said, you were like, yeah, and it wasn't a response to what I said. You just said it.
It was a whole other tangent.
It was a
Well,
total.
you,
Yeah.
you didn't tell me you went in a bubble there, man.
I don't know. Okay, we're good. We're back. We're back.
Oh, shit. Yeah. No, so
I agree
you
with what
agree.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, we all agree.
Yeah, let's agree.
Oh, God.
So,
I think everybody's right.
yeah.
Whatever your opinion is, you're right. Unless you're racist.
You're right.
I don't think any of
racists
us
are all
wrong
wrong.
here.
Yeah.
So, God damn it, man.
Unless you're racist, okay.
It's the most serious topic we've had. It's like the funniest thing. All right, so
Anyway,
I commented on somebody's thing, somebody's Facebook status, and they're like, he was, it's basically, talking about reason, and it's like, just because you might be against gay marriage, you're a bigot. Just because you're against this, you're a bigot. Just because you're against this, you're a bigot. All this stuff, and he goes down this list, and they just basically making the point that they use the blanket statement like you're a bigot or you're a Nazi or whatever, and I'm totally good with that. But at the end, he was like, if you're against interracial marriage, you're a bigot. And I was like, wait, are you against interracial marriage? I was like, I didn't know that was a thing anymore.
oh my god.
yeah, seriously though.
I just thought that it just threw me off because everybody was like, you missed the point. And I was like, wait, what? No, that threw me off. I was like, all this other stuff, sure, I mean, freedom of speech, but that's kind of racist.
Yeah.
Overtly.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can talk about general constitutional terms and all that, but when you go into people's opinions, it's like, okay.
Yeah, it gets
Take everything with a grain of salt.
yeah, definitely. It gets swampy.
That's really
for
what
sure.
you gotta do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
with
So
most things.
did you guys have a best friend like certifiable growing up?
No.
No, you
It
didn't.
depended on what age. I mean, there was from elementary school I had a best friend, and then middle school, high school, and afterwards I had a best friend, and I guess I have to wait for middle age now to find out who that'll be. But
If
Yeah.
you really
I
want,
mean,
like, okay, in
You still have a best
elementary-
friend, like you.
well,
still
I
tight?
had, I still have best friends, but I had my one best friend, but he passed. So
Oh, man,
it was like it was tough, like
Yeah.
losing your best friend. He's basically a brother.
Totally.
Knew each other for well over a decade.
Wow.
Went to school together, wrestled together. And
Yeah.
So it was tough, but I mean, there were so many positive experiences. It was fun, but
Yeah, he gave you a lot. He gave you a
Yeah.
lot while he was here.
Mm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. How about you, Tom? Do you have?
I don't have if you really want to like get one best friend out of me,
Yeah.
is at an elementary school, but like that's because like I didn't know how to socialize at all. And,
Totally. You
like,
gotta cling to the one that you have. You and me, it's forever. For life. We're gonna marry.
so my answer is no. I did not have a definitive best friend.
I
ever.
clung to the idea of a best friend when I was a kid, for sure.
Okay.
I was like, I need a best friend. Which one's my best friend? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
but then
Okay.
your definition of a best friend changes over time.
Totally. Yeah.
So
Your
Absolutely.
definition of a friend.
who your
changes
best
over
friend
time.
was at a certain age might not even be your best friend anymore. You might not
Yeah.
even be friends at all anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't think I'm friends with like anybody from elementary school anymore.
No, me
It
neither.
used to be my first group of friends.
Well, I
core
shouldn't say
friends.
that. Maybe there's a possibility that I
No.
just don't remember, but not
Nah.
not like friends.
Don't.
Like I would call them
Nah.
up tomorrow. You know.
I'm not friends with anybody from elementary. That's for sure.
Unless-
Middle school.
Unless you count Facebook.
Yeah, no, man. I'm definitely not friends with anybody from high school either. Like, I can't say that I'm friends with anybody.
So few. I'm in touch with so like little people from school.
Yeah.
More of my friends.
Oh, me too.
Most of my friends probably aren't even like in the same grade as me. We didn't even go to the same classes or anything. Some of them didn't even go to school.
Yeah, that's the big. That's the other. Oh, what were you gonna say?
Oh,
It looked good.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say here's what happened with me, and here's something that I regret for sure. But when I was in high school, nobody knew me. I was like, wallflower type deal.
Yeah.
Totally, just wearing baggy stuff and walking around being a shitbag, smoking cigarettes, drinking liquor in the parking
Good
lot.
kid doing bad things.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't a dickhead about it. Like I wasn't like in
Yeah.
in the classroom like yelling at teachers or anything like
Yeah,
that. But I definitely cut class all the time. I definitely
Exactly.
did smoke cigarettes and drink and all that stuff in
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
In school,
In school.
yeah. Well, tech school. Come on.
Don't
Been
get
there,
this wrong.
been there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like tech school makes it. You know what I mean? I was always anyway. But my
Yeah,
point was,
absolutely.
I would date like a girl or whatever, and we'd get really close. Obviously, like I was talking about it before, and then I would kind of just get absorbed into their friend group. But none of them were actually my
Yes.
friend. None of them.
That's it.
None of them even liked me. I learned that very quickly.
It's another case of like your friends by default almost.
Yeah,
If you like have to get along.
It's a
But-
convenience thing. You know what I mean? Like it would be inconvenient for me to like or dislike any of your friends,
Yeah.
so I just
Yeah.
end up
And for
liking
you
them.
to voice that, yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Exactly.
You could feel that, but you have to like just go along with
So every girlfriend that I've had, growing up would just be like, I have a girlfriend, I have friends, and then no friends when we break up. And then
Oh,
have a
yep.
girlfriend and I have
Yeah,
friends, and
okay.
then no friends when we break up. So
Yep, I
and
see what
and
you mean.
know,
Yep.
and the friends that I've made myself, actually, fuck, I don't have any friends I made myself. Like I'm trying to think of my best friend, like the friend that I would consider my best friend. I met him through my very first girlfriend.
Okay.
So it's weird. I don't know if I just can't approach people and say what's up. Like, what's wrong with me?
I don't think it's that. I mean, I feel like
Just
shit
very
just happens.
selective about who you want to be friends with.
I guess.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, aren't
knows
we
what it
all?
is, Yeah.
Yeah.
there's some people who just be friends with everybody, and
Well,
but
exactly.
I don't know.
Well-
It depends on like I'm selective about my core group of friends.
Sure.
like close friends, but I can be friends with anybody pretty much.
I can be nice to
Unless you're
anybody.
You can be
Racist.
friendly.
I can be friendly to
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
once you start trying to make demands of my time, is when I start to be like,
Yeah.
nah.
Plans.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you're a cool person, like Tom, you said, come over for a podcast. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do some stuff. It's a project we're working on together.
Yeah.
We're like-minded. We talk about fitness
Absolutely,
and like
yeah.
to go on hikes. We're,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Totally good.
Mm-hmm.
But like somebody who's like, hey, come over, help me with my, for example, I'm not a car guy, right? So somebody come over, help me
Okay,
with my,
yeah. Great example.
fuel pump. Dude, first of all,
You got to be my close friend for that to happen.
exactly. That's a sacrifice. That's not me coming over and chilling because I like that stuff. You know what I mean?
And it's still you find it in yourself to be like, well, like I'm like doing this right now, and because
Yeah.
you still want
What
to
do
be
you do?
friendly.
What do you
Right.
do? Do you
Because
just
that-
tell
you're
them?
just-
Do you just flat out tell them no, or do you come up with an excuse?
Excuse every time, every single time.
I just can't bring myself to just say no. Like,
Yeah, no.
I need a reason.
Yeah,
Absolutely, and
Yeah,
you know
absolutely,
the reason's usually like it's at a minimum of a half truth.
Yeah, and it's like
Oh,
you do
definitely,
have
yeah.
something to do, but it could be put off. But
Yeah, but you have to do it tomorrow.
do I really want to come over and change your axle? Not really.
Right, exactly. So I mean, there's just stuff that and it's not that the person is they suck, or even originally not even the point I was making before about how maybe they're annoying, they have an annoying tick or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're cool as hell, but they have I don't know them very well, and they're like, "Yo, come over, we're gonna watch a superhero movie." Do not give a single shit about superhero movies
I
or
would-
cars. I'm not even a guy. I'm
I would
like-
in that situation, I would literally be like, "No, I'm not into that."
Yeah, exactly. Well, right. I guess. Yeah, it's like, well, that's honestly,
Yeah,
that's an
depends
opinion
on the type
thing.
of movie.
That's back to that, like on the scale. That's like a 4 right there.
Yeah,
that's
it's a
like
time
the
thing.
friend that you're friendly to.
Yeah.
But it's a friend that you're not really gonna give your time or anything like that to. Because it's like a 4. It's
Yeah.
like, you're not even halfway there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's cool that we can be honest about this stuff because I was really, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it's
That's what this is about. I mean, we wouldn't have got together to talk about it if we weren't gonna actually talk about it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you'd be surprised. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised.
I definitely would be, but I don't know that I would be because I know exactly.
like
yeah.
people have these like facile surface level conversations about like,
Oh, yeah.
friendship
Exactly.
is this, and you know what I mean? Like, no, seriously.
That's
Sometimes I'm a dickhead. Like I'm a jerk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes other people are jerks, and I can call them out, and hopefully they can call me out when.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I want that honesty. That's another point of friendship. I need the honesty.
You're
Yeah.
explaining the point of this podcast right now in a very specific sense.
I like it.
So, like, you know what I'm saying? You're explaining. So you're talking about between best friends. The honesty, the openness, but like that's what this whole. It's like a general sense of that same exact concept is what this whole podcast is.
Right.
Because it's like if you can't, that's the problem. Even going back to our last podcast with the internet, nobody has a fucking conversation anymore,
No.
let alone an
Yeah.
open and honest one.
Yeah.
Like I have, I've had millions of conversations with my friends, open and honest. I don't know that I could count them very specific.
Yeah.
very
few.
On one
Exactly.
hand or 2 hands. Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't have to be a late at night, after drinking
Heart
and,
to
and
heart.
heart to
No.
heart. It doesn't always have to be that.
No,
like
not at all.
we're all humans. We all know, like we all have like a subjective like view of reality and an experience that's, very individualistic, or individualized for ourselves, whatever. But it's all very similar to everybody else. And if I say, hey, you ever wake up in the middle of the night and your arms numb or whatever, and it's like tingly.
I hate that.
I hate that. Yeah, right. Like, we all have human bodies and brains and stuff, and we're on the same wavelength. So
Absolutely, yeah.
why not?
So like we went on a hike.
Yeah.
What was that last weekend? Right.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Sunday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we on that hike we talked about a bunch of shit, but there's relationships, for instance. We talked about that a little bit. There's certain things like that specifically that like I wouldn't have with a lot of my friends because like nobody's actually open to talk about something that personal. But it's like
Yeah.
I pretty much talk about anything.
but we're
It
friends.
doesn't matter to me.
Really?
I'm pretty.
Yeah,
open.
absolutely. No, I appreciate you saying that. I felt, obviously I said the same. I did the same thing.
absolutely, yeah.
And I think that I can tell I can tell pretty well if somebody is listening but uncomfortable. And then
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like, all right, well, obviously you're not equipped. Like,
See,
Right.
I understand.
Absolutely.
That's fine. And I just like, but there are those people that don't stop. And they're like, my ex-wife's a bitch and all this stuff. And you met them 30 seconds ago. I think we talked about this
yeah,
the other day too.
yeah.
Like, okay,
Well,
I'm sorry
it
about
definitely
your...
just needs somebody to talk to.
Yeah,
You need a
right?
We
Therapist.
talked about this on the last podcast,
Yeah.
but just like random, like even people online or whether it be in person or online, you start talking to them. They tell you their life story, and they just like they want to like tell you, and it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
we're not.
They're
We're
trying
not there
They're
yet.
trying to force
I'm
it.
not
We're not there yet. They're trying to force it. Exactly. But I mean, that's another thing. I mean, the internet, you were talking about like having a person in Canada that would fly and your next door neighbor wouldn't come over to your hospital bed or whatever. See, but the problem with that is the internet is filled with the loneliest people on the face
no,
of
but
the
I'm
earth.
talking. All right, so but when I said that, I'm talking like a friend that maybe moved to Canada.
Oh, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
got
not
you.
just some
Yeah.
random motherfucker you met on the online.
That's what I was thinking the same thing.
No,
You're like
so
on
like-
Omegle.
So like you have all right. So
Hey, I'm from Canada. Where
you
are
live
from?
here.
Yeah.
You live here. Next on the left side, you got your best friend. On the right side, you got your best friend. Well, the one on the right moves to Canada,
Yeah,
and then you go to the hospital.
I totally get it.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So-
and then the Canada one comes over because he's a better
And the
friend.
other
He's-
one just like goes to work. He's
Right.
just like, oh, I'm busy.
right?
Sorry,
I'm
bro.
busy. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Definitely not just like some random people.
Yeah, I mean sometimes that depends too. Like what, again with like time.
Oh yeah,
Time,
absolutely.
'cause once it depends on what age you are. Because
Yep.
if you're like 30 something and you
Absolutely.
got kids and a wife and
But you can't pick up your phone and at least like talk.
yeah,
to
I
them?
mean you could do that. That's always like
That-
It's hard for
the
guys,
easiest
man.
thing to do. Is just
hard for
pick up
guys.
your phone and call.
that's what I mean.
I'm
But that's,
telling you.
but
that's the biggest thing is like I was from the very beginning, companionship, support, reliability.
Yeah.
Well, so if this guy who I never even talk to can give me all three of those things, and you who I see every single day can't give me half of one of those things, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
yeah, who's the better friend then?
It's like, yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
it does mean a lot to just reach out and say what's up and say hey and,
Yeah,
and be like, hey, how
absolutely.
you doing? You doing all right? All this stuff. I think my fear every time that I reach out to somebody is having a full-blown conversation, and it's almost like I have to have the perfect situation where it's like, I think I'll text,
Yeah,
Brad or Luke
Yeah.
or what, you know what I mean? Like, I have to sit down, send it, and when I get a reply, I need to be able to answer it. Otherwise, it's just like I sent a text and then just never got him back. It's rude.
Depends what you say, I guess.
Well, I guess it's true. Like, hey, how are you doing? I mean, but what are you gonna say? Hope you're doing well. What are you, my
Well-
grandfather? Like,
what have you been up to?
what have you been up to?
Yeah.
How the kids?
Yeah, you're right. It really depends on the situation.
Yeah.
So I'm
Just
not
have to, like,
denying
know how to
that.
make small talk. Then it's
Yeah, small talk for no reason. Like that's the problem. That's the
Well,
thing with guys.
But that, yeah.
We can't like we
I
hate.
like
I
small
hate.
talk.
No,
Yeah,
I
it
hate
sucks.
small talk. Everybody does.
Yeah, everybody does. Yeah.
But we're like intolerant to it. Like like I'm gonna call my friend of 4 years. Ah shit, I'm gonna have to ask him like dumb questions that I don't care
what do you
about.
want to talk about?
Yeah, what do you want to talk about? No, you.
I don't know.
hang
You
up
called
first.
me.
You called me. I've never liked you. Click.
Why are we friends?
Fuck. It always
You
ends
know,
like
it
that.
depends on the situation, but you got the concept. Though.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
I
saying,
agree.
yeah.
I agree.
It's especially when you're talking about. All right, so like if you're talking about like close, two people that you hang out with every other day, you
Yeah.
see all the time, you talk to all the time, but one shows you more support, more reliability. Like if you need help with something, that you actually that they might actually be into.
Right.
You're not gonna hit them up if like like the
Yeah,
whole.
if it pertains to you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
The whole car thing you were talking about before. It's like, I'm not gonna like hit up my one friend that like has nothing to do with cars and ask him for help on my car because
Yeah.
it's like, well, you don't give a shit about
Well,
this.
sometimes
Yeah.
that's how
And it's
people
like-
relate to each other. Sports, cars.
Definitely, yeah.
You know what I mean? Even just drinking.
Based on mutual interests.
Straight
Yeah,
up.
But it's like, the two people that are your best friends but one could like completely neglect every aspect of friendship and one could support it. It's it comes down and again they're two of your best friends, so they're obviously your best friend for a reason.
Right.
The one that neglects it, but it comes down to what your definition of a friend is, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess so. If they're both your best friend, then you obviously think very highly of the one that
For some
doesn't
reason.
do anything.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes for me, I think it's time spent and like the what do you call it? Like the investment cost.
Okay, yeah.
Like the time sunk or the investment sunk or whatever. I don't know. Basically, the time that I put into somebody and the memories that I have and how well they know me, that I could do anything and they would realize that, okay, he did this one shitty thing, but I have all of this other like stuff that's like, all right, well, he's usually not like that, right?
Yeah.
So I can mess up big time, and that's a comforting thing, I think. Even if I'm not like, this dude's sick and he like hits me up all the time and we do a lot of things together, and you know, I don't get any of the things of the relationship, but I know he knows me enough that I'm not gonna get rid of him because he's seen me at my best. You know,
Yep.
that's kind of
Yeah. Very true. But so we were talking about kind of like the ups and downs of like friends, just like we kind of were this whole time. So obviously, like on the upside of that, you know, all right. So you got like I was saying, companionship. You got the person to confide in, to open up to. You have all these things, but I feel like I don't want to say the downside outweighs the upside, but there's a lot more negative ways I feel like that a person can affect somebody in the sense that in a close relation. So there's like even like peer pressure, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So like that, or even just like trying to, especially like in younger years, school times.
yeah, impressionable.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
you find your friends, but it's like you don't even really know what a friend is to you, so you're just trying to like live up to like what you think
I feel like I was affected more by peer pressure when I was like young. Like
That's what I mean. Yeah, like, and I mean
high
really,
school, I just kind of went with everything.
Yep.
It wasn't much like peer pressure at all.
Yeah,
I had a
definitely.
ton of peer pressure.
I
in
was
high
just
school.
with it.
Really?
I just
Totally. Oh, totally.
I never really got pressured to do anything. I was just I'll do it.
See,
Yeah, you know
But,
what?
yeah.
I was definitely like, yeah, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't a ton of pressure. It didn't take a lot, but I did everything.
And I don't know if
Yeah,
it was just so
okay.
much following the crowd or
It
if
was
it
definitely-
was
That's
if
what-
it
yeah.
was my own decision. It's like who's to say if it was my decision or was I influenced by what everybody else was doing? I mean, even I don't know. So,
Right.
and even just like all the drama that goes on between like, even if you are a group of like really good friends, all that drama, especially, and I mention all these like times that like affect you in younger years mainly because like that's really what shapes your look on friendship, your look on society, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's where you get it all from. So that's why it's probably the most important. Now it's like you kind of know yourself better. You know where you stand with all that. So you're going to make your decisions. But back then, that's where your decisions now came from. So just with like with all the depression and anxiety issues in society today, just a simple like drama in a friend group could break that right there. Just the depression.
I mean, depression for sure. I thought you were going a different direction.
No,
I thought
I'm
you were,
talking-
yeah, go ahead.
I'm just talking like, especially if you already have depression issues,
Yeah.
you get in like one little argument with your friend, that could ruin, that could break
some
you even
people
farther.
some people let it. I mean,
Yeah,
I had
absolutely.
time. I got in me and my best friend that passed away. We got in a full out fist fight.
Damn.
It took a couple months or more. I think it was like 6 months or something.
Yeah.
And then finally ended up talking to each other again, being best friends again, like nothing ever happened.
Damn.
I
I got a fist fight
he
with my
was
best
going,
friend, too.
yeah.
So it's,
He was going through some shit, and we went our separate ways, and things got better, and we're best friends again. I mean, we were so alike that it was just hard to stay apart. I mean,
yeah, you're just
Yeah.
too similar. Like, you know each
Yeah.
other very well. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
I think it was like closer with him than with anybody. So it was like we knew everything about each other. So I don't know, it was tough, but I don't know. Yeah, things always get better.
Yeah.
I've had other friends do worse or other shitty things, but still, I want to be there for them.
Usually when a friend, like that one time I got in a fight with my best friend, he just like hit me in the face out of nowhere. We were drinking. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. He just like clogged me in the face out of nowhere. My brother was involved. It was terrible. The cops came. I fell in a creek. I fell in a ravine, actually. That's a great night. That's a good story, actually. I'll have to save that one. But yeah, no, most of the time, like when a friend, like when I start getting drama with friends, and not like the anxiety, depression thing. I think when it's like a self-inflicted, depressing, like a giving up thing.
Okay, yeah.
That bothers me very much. Like we've all had friends that have substance abuse problems. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can't sit there and scrape them off the pavement every single time. You know what I mean? And that's gonna kill a friendship.
Exactly.
It's gonna
Yep.
ruin a friendship. I hope you get better. All that stuff.
Yeah, it's like I want to help, but if you're just gonna keep doing it, then
Yeah.
I can't.
There's nothing, and I don't
Yeah,
have the I
to a
can't.
certain point, yeah.
I don't have the equipment to help you, and I mean like not physical equipment, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
mentally,
mental and emotional equipment.
Yeah.
I cannot be there for you 24/7. I
Yep.
just to be honest with you. Now every time we do stuff, we'll get as far away from that lifestyle as possible. We're not going to go to the bar. We're not going to go to this. We're not going to do that. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? We're going to go on
exactly.
hikes. We're going to go on runs. We're going to do on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And be positive. But if they just won't even try, then that's the end of the friendship.
Yeah,
And it's not going to come back.
yeah,
Probably.
it's same with everything. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
can't be the only one putting in effort.
Exactly. Yeah, that's another really good
But
point.
that was the things like they were like the people that I ended up cutting ties with. They did, you know, genuinely try to better themselves. So
Yeah.
you know, seeing that, and it's like, okay, I have, you know, some respect for you, a little more trust, but you know, you don't let them right back into your inner circle right away.
yeah,
But
but that usually
still, yeah, things always end up, you know, we patch things up.
Hmm.
Same like even when you were little. If you're gonna fight with your brother, and
Oh, yeah.
the next day you're fine.
Yep. Yeah,
I
really.
guess. Yeah, I guess. I think seeing like if some I don't know. I guess in my experience, because it's different, they usually don't get that much better.
Yeah, and
Like,
there's some,
and-
yeah,
and
there's
to
people
to
that
this day-
they're just straight up shitty people.
Yeah.
and they pretend to be your
And
friend,
they're
and, you
victims,
think you're
and they're
friends,
users.
and they're just using you, and sometimes people just don't realize it.
Yeah,
But-
exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
thankfully, like I don't know, I kind of cut ties with those kind of people now. So
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, totally. And I think that's a big part of our age as well. You do realize the people that aren't going to get it.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
They're-
absolutely.
Yeah, you finally figure out like, okay,
Yeah.
these people have their life together. These people don't,
Or-
and they're probably not going to.
Right, we're actively trying. Like
Yeah,
I mean, even
we're
even
actively
being
trying. Yeah.
even sitting on your haunches and just like working at a shitty job and not making a lot of money and staying stagnant. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the same thing as going down progressively.
Yeah.
You know?
It depends on what kind of decisions you're making, you know?
Exactly.
If you're going to keep
Yeah,
making
you don't-
shitty decisions,
you don't
you're
have
going
to
to be
be
a shitty person.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be like, shooting to the top
Yeah.
in order to be,
Yeah, I'm not
show that. It's
exactly.
yeah.
I'm not that selective. Like I'm not like, no, you gotta, have a degree at least. You know what I mean? Like I'm not that guy. But if it's like somebody's going down and it's always like, oh, something this happened and my dad just died and all this stuff. And obviously, if that's true, it's but that's been a lie.
Yeah.
That's happened before. And I'm like, you didn't think I was gonna figure out that you're like, I've been to your house.
Some people, man, yeah. Some
You
people
know?
go way above and beyond for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But anyway.
I was looking into this study. This is a little off topic, but not really. It's more along the lines of like, what friends really mean affect how they affect you. I guess is what I'm trying to say. This study was done by the University of Virginia, by a guy named a psychologist named James Cohen. He did a study on 22 adults, did fMRI scans on their brain while he threatened either themselves, a friend, or a stranger.
Damn.
And he watched their brain. Okay? So when he threatened them, the part of their brain that would react to a threat lit up. Okay? When he threatened a stranger, the part of that person's brain didn't really do nothing.
How do they threaten?
See, I
Sorry, I didn't mention that. It's mild
like
electrical shocks.
Cool. All right. So it's like could happen, but
Yep.
it's not gonna kill you, but it's gonna suck.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's,
continue.
yep.
Did he actually shock them?
Yes.
Oh, he did?
It was mild.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
it was a
cool,
mild
cool.
electrical shock.
He
It
probably told him it was way worse than it will be, like
Yeah,
than it was,
most
or something.
likely,
He's
yeah.
like, yeah, it's
Telling the person to scream a little bit.
yeah, it's gonna suck. Like it's gonna feel like
Put on a show.
Can hit
Well,
by much.
well,
So
not-
what happened with the friend?
Not even
when
really,
the friend
because
was.
he did it on them first. So he said, okay, this is, it probably hurt, but it probably, it was nothing's gonna happen.
doable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when he did it to them, nothing happened. When he did it to the that was backwards. When he did it to them, their brain, that part of their brain lit up.
Right.
When he did it to the stranger, hardly anything. So then, you don't really care.
Yeah, fuck them.
That stranger's gonna get a little shock. Who cares? Okay.
Fuck that guy.
Hold that guy.
Survive. Walk it off.
When he did it to the friend, okay,
Yeah.
it was identical to that of when it was done to themselves for every one of the 22
That's
adults.
so precious.
So, and
Truly care.
it's really care.
That's true love.
So now these are 22 adults. That's, you could probably find a pretty vast difference in our 3 brains. He took 22. Okay.
Zap him, Doc. See what I care.
And it was exactly the same.
You would do the same to me.
So yeah, it was a test of really just like, I guess, what friends really, what another person, I should say, that you care about means to you physically. So not, come on, what the fuck? You're trying to say something serious, you guys just fucking laugh. Fuck you guys, fuck the study, don't look at it, fuck you.
You mean a lot to me physically, Tom. I'll prove it.
And that's where we'll end this here. Yeah.
That's cool, though.
So, well, yeah, fuck you.
See, that's friendship.
That's friendship. All right, so the only thing I want to add, obviously for the podcast, just the development of it. I actually just today got a podcast host, so we're gonna be showing up on some apps, all sorts of crazy. It's gonna get, it's not completely set up yet, but it's gonna explode a bit further than it is. And then obviously just the affiliates, like always, to check them out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, even
Get it.
website, changingconversation.com, and that's about it. Anything
Yeah.
else to add?
No, just
You guys
Yeah.
both mean a lot to me physically.
yeah. physically, physically, you guys mean a lot.
You guys took a shame to that study. That guy's pissed right now if he sees this.
Dude,
All right.
shit on my study.
Thank you very much. See you.